Welcome back. House Republicans in West Virginia for the GOP retreat. Next week, they face some pretty big deadlines. Friday, the last day to pass a spending plan before a potential government shutdown. It's also Congressman Ken Buck's last day in Congress, meaning the majority will shrink by yet another seat. My guest tonight, the former California Communications Director for former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Brittany Martinez up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. Welcome back. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me again.
As you're watching all of this play out once again, I mean, we're at this point where you have this razor-thin majority, which will get even slimmer. They still have the majority, but what difference does that make when you lose another seat?
So actually, in this case, because of the congressional math, it won't make a difference. It'll still be the two factors that Republicans can have in the House. But, you know, it does make one question, what is happening in Washington, D.C.? What's happening at the Capitol? We've had so many members decide to retire already this year, and senators too. And this is just another testament to the failures of Congress right now.
Yeah, Ken Buck is somebody who has been part of the Freedom Caucus. He has made a name for himself in many different ways. It was sort of interesting to see him sort of peel away from the rest of the pack when it came to the Mayorkas impeachment and other things out there. But when you look at what the challenges that Speaker Johnson has right now, are they on the right path when it comes to trying to avert the shutdown? I mean, something that you full well know that you've had to go through a couple of times in your time serving under the former Speaker.
Well, you know, it's interesting because when Johnson first came in, he said, I don't really want to do CRs. I want to have the government fully funded. And we're now in our third or fourth CR.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're on the right path. I'd say so far they haven't been on the right path. But, you know, all you can do is try and move forward. And I think that's what they're going to try to do. We've seen some failures over the last month, especially. Remember those back-to-back votes on the impeachment of Mayorkas and then the Israel aid. So I think he's having a hard time. I think House Republicans are having a hard time.
So as we go through the next couple of weeks, we start to see 2024 ramping up as well. Every member in that Congress, at least on the House side, is going to face the voters. So they're looking at their own reelection prospects in many cases out there. In your experience, does much get done when you're in this limbo between, you know, primary season and the general?
I would say that election years are always tough, especially presidential election years. If you think back to 2016 and Mitch McConnell, he didn't want to move forward with Supreme Court Justice nominations because there was a very good chance Republicans would win the White House, which we did. So no, I don't think much more is going to get done. We saw attempts at immigration reform here, or border security, and that was 100% dead on arrival. And I think that if President Trump has his way, he will, make sure that there is not legislation put forth by Republicans that makes current President Biden look good.
You know, when we look at the State of the Union, which feels like about 100 years ago, but it was only a week ago.
A week ago.
Every group, you have the loudest voices in the room. And I think when you look at the Republican side, clearly it's the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Lauren Boebert didn't really say a whole lot during the State of the Union, although she has been vocal after Buck's retirement. But, there are a lot of people in both caucuses who they don't go to Capitol Hill because they want the headlines. There are people. I mean, am I being idealistic to think that there are people serving in Congress who actually do want to do the people's work?
I do think that there are those folks. Maybe they're few and far between at this point. I'm similar to you. I think that people are elected to do the work for the people, and then they got caught up in the news cycle and wanting to be on TV and wanting to, be a contributor or something when their time in Congress is done. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but I think the American people are seeing it, and they're going to vote accordingly on Election Day.
What do you think, having worked in California for the former Speaker, and what the priorities would be for voters on the West Coast? Many may be the same, many may be drastically different from voters, in D.C., Maryland, or Virginia out there. But what do you think? What do you think that the issues are going to be for people? Not so much when they go vote for president, but when they go vote for the members of Congress.
Yeah, I think always kitchen table issues. Economy. Is economy good or bad? Some folks say that the economy is good right now, but we also experience the highest inflation in over 40 years under President Biden. Gas prices, can I afford to keep my family fed and a roof over our heads? I think those are always going to be the number 1 and 2 issues. And also what we see at the southern border. For years, Republicans have been decrying that there is a crisis at our southern border, and this opportunity that we've had now, we've said, nope, never mind. I guess it's not that I guess it's not a crisis after all. But everyone is saying that. Folks in Virginia and Virginians have been chastised by some of the mainstream media that was an issue. But every town is a border town now. Every state is a border state. So I think those are the things that are going to matter to voters everywhere.
You're the second person who's come through this week and mentioned Rachel Maddow and other people on MSNBC who had said people in Virginia who were worried about issues at the border. Oh, what border are they worrying about? West Virginia. But you are right in many regards, because that is something that does weigh on a lot of people. It may not affect you every day, but it may affect your neighbors. And clearly, as we look at things like fentanyl, I mean, that has been something that many lawmakers had said stopping that almost dovetails with some sort of more secure, more security at the border.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're talking about, Chinese fentanyl getting through the southern border as well. I mean, that's a public health issue, and we need to be careful. We need to be paying attention. We need to be empowering our border agents to be able to act accordingly. Just real quick, what would the former speaker feel about what's going on right now? Oh, I don't work for him anymore, so I don't want to speculate on his behalf. Yeah. But wherever he is, I hope he's happy. All right, Brittany Martinez, good to see you again. Thanks for coming in tonight. Thanks for having me. Our pleasure. Final Five is back after this.